अस्सलाम वालेकुम। प्रोग्राम दो राय का स्पेशल सीरीज़ जारी है। इस खुसूसी सीरीज़ में हम कोशिश करते हैं कि पाकिस्तान के दोस्त ममालिक के सफ़ीरों से बात करें और रवायती कलमात से आगे बढ़ के खुसूसी तौर पर नौजवान नस्ल पर फोकस करें और जो टेक्निकल और तालीमी इस्लाहात है उस पर भी बात करें। हमारे साथ EU के एम्बेसडर Mr. Jean-Francois Cotin, Excellency, very kind of you to join us. आपकी सहूलियत के लिए सबटाइटल्स होंगे उर्दू में जिसमें अंग्रेज़ी का साथ साथ तर्जुमा चल रहा होगा। Excellency, if we could pivot to Pakistan's population demographic. We asked this question of the German and Norwegian ambassadors as well, which is that there is a youth bulge. And many people are saying, or many analysts and population experts are saying, that this can very well be a demographic dividend. What do you think is the best way forward to channelize that bulge vis-a-vis economic activity?
Actually, first of all, welcome to the EU residence.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to have you here.
Very kind.
Yeah, I mean, based on the recent actually census, we have seen that you have, what, 60% of youth in your country, which is probably both an asset or a liability, depending on how Pakistan is going to handle that. Clearly, it will be an asset if Pakistan manages to make sure that all these youth will find a proper job for them. And to find a proper job, they need also the proper skills. We know that there will be a lot of economic opportunities in your country, hopefully in the next coming years, with investment coming, but you need also to provide, these youth with the right skills that they can find, the proper job.
Yes.
So, very good. It's an asset for Pakistan, but you have to make sure that it will become an asset.
Going forward on that, to make that population segment an asset, do you think technical and vocational skills would give a boost to their employment prospects?
I mean, let's be very clear. I mean, it's not possible that everybody in Pakistan becomes doctor, engineer,
That's correct.
or got a PhD or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, in any country, you need people with also practical skills, which are useful for everybody, plumbers, electricians, people, mechanics, people who can really also make our society working. So yes, definitely, I mean, people who will be entering the TVET sector and getting the right skills will be people that will be transformed as an asset for Pakistan.
Right. On that TVET sector discussion, I'm sure you know, Ambassador, that in this country we have a dynamic called Ustad Shagird, which is teacher and student, in which the emphasis is on apprenticeship. How to make that transition into something more formalized where the prism can be through technical and vocational training?
I mean, what I've seen, I mean, I've been visiting a number of TVET institutes. And I've discussed also with many businessmen in this country on a number of issues. And it's also obviously something that the government has realized, is that there have been for many years in Pakistan a disconnect between TVET Institute and what they are providing in terms of skills with actually the demand of the market.
Right.
So that is the first thing. The second issue also when we discuss with businessmen is that not always the right skills, but also when they have the right skills, it's not at the right level. So
Right.
there is an issue of quality also of what is provided to the youth. So there is clearly a need there to focus on quality, and a clear need also to make sure that this youth will reply to the market demand.
The European Union has often emphasized educational reform. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have a newly elected government that took office 6 weeks ago. And their manifesto, although in fairness to the other political parties, their manifesto also emphasizes educational reform. But the current incumbent has emphasized education for the past 5 years consistently. Do you think those two agendas dovetail together?
Definitely. I mean, if you, first of all, I mean, even if you go for an education, youth will go for a TVET institute, he needs or she needs the right basis in terms of education. He or she needs to write, to read, to count. So you need to have a very good quality basic education. There is no doubt. I mean, you cannot, become, as I said, a good mechanics or a good plumber or electrician if you don't have also a basic education of quality basic education. And I think it's also a challenge for Pakistan.
Yes.
It has been a challenge for many years. We know that we have 20 to 22, 24, even more kids out of school today in Pakistan. It's big. I mean, when you are coming from the European Union, I mean, 22 or 24 million inhabitants, it's more than kids out of school. It's more than many of my member states in terms of their total population. So it's really we're big number. So you have to fix that clearly and to continue what previous governments have been doing in terms of basic education, and built on that, the proper policy, which are, I think now we'll come back to that, probably already in place for Tibet, and implement them now for Pakistan.
With regards to that, what has the European Union's contribution been so far?
Actually, what we have been doing with not only the European Union, but also with our member states, Germany, with our friend from Norway, and previously we had also the Netherlands who were involved into that. We became involved into the Tibet sector in 2011 for a first phase where we worked very closely with the government to put in place the right policies. That was, I think, what was needed first. Okay. You cannot devise, a nationwide Tibet program. You cannot have an impact in all the 4 provinces if you don't have the right framework first. What you want to achieve, what are the rules of the game, because as we know also now education is, on Tibet, is the responsibility of the provinces. But you have to have an overarching framework to make sure that everybody is aiming at the same thing and working under the same rules. So we have been focusing a lot on that. I mean, supporting the NAFTTC, for example, putting in place this national Tibet policy. And we are very happy that it has been approved by the government, even if it took a couple of years, I would say, to approve it. But anyhow, now it's done, which is good. So we're on the right track. Okay. There is no doubt. I think we are on the right track. And we are very happy again that we are supporting this sector in Pakistan. But I think what is important is to continue on the right track. And I guess probably one of the challenges is to scale up. Today, the Tibet sector is training roughly 500,000 youth per year.
I'm going to ask Ambassador vis-a-vis that scaling up in the next segment. We're going to take a break. वक्फा लेंगे, गुफ्तगू जारी रहेगी, रहिएगा हमारे साथ. वेलकम बैक टू दो राय. एम्बेसडर जॉन फ्रांसवा के साथ गुफ्तगू जारी है और बात कर रहे हैं हम तालीमी इस्लाहात पर. एम्बेसडर, you were explaining that our next priority might be to scale up what the ongoing project is. In addition to that, there's also the gender component when we speak of education and when we speak of the workforce. Successive governments and policymakers have attempted to increase Pakistan's female representation in the workforce, but the road ahead is very long. Would want your perspective on that.
Okay. I mean, the ambassadors are like a little bit like politicians usually. We don't reply to questions, so I will not reply to your question now. I want just to follow on my scaling up issue.
Scaling up.
Now, just what I wanted to say, to give an idea of what we are talking about is 500,000 youth trained every year in Tibet Institute, still of uneven quality. Right. As we said before, quality is still important to tackle. And we have 3 million youth entering the labor market. So what we are talking about when I'm saying scaling up is that 500,000 on one side and 3 million on the other side. So meaning that we have, we have to multiply by 6 actually. So efforts to make sure that everybody can access to a good quality training in the TVET Institute.
Right.
Okay, coming back to your issue of
The gender component.
Of gender component. I mean, no doubt. I mean, among these 3 million youth entering the labor market, you have 53% of them are women. Okay, so no doubt that you have to see how you can deal with that. I know that there are in Pakistan a number of issues which are some limits in terms of employability of women at this stage, I would say, of Pakistan. I think it's important for TVET Institute and for the policymakers to realize that women have other capacities than only doing embroidery and cooking and stitching and things like that. Huh? And I think we have to push the lines. I mean, and that is a decision that the policymakers should do, to make sure that in the TVET Institute, trades are open, other trades are open to women. Huh? I remember that I visited a small project we were supporting in KP province, where actually women were repairing solar panels.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you know, solar panel, why not? I mean, electricity, why not? I mean, all this kind of... you can imagine also, you know, women. I saw that in another TVET, another company actually, women working on the AutoCAD. You know, so that as well. I mean, so that I think TVET Institute should not be gender shy.
No,
let's be clear on that.
Right.
And I think by that the push should be coming from the policymakers as well.
And from a global perspective, is there a way to bring this on par with international best practices?
I mean, we clearly, I mean, if Pakistan wants to compete on the international arena, and especially on the business side, there is no doubt. Pakistan has also, you know, to make sure that other groups have access to this trainings. I'm referring to some more marginalized groups, such as people with disabilities. How do you tackle that also here in Pakistan? You have to make sure also that some negative, maybe practices which still exist in Pakistan are off the table, referring to child labor, for example.
Yes.
So make sure also that, you know, when you are doing your TVET training, you know, you don't, some of them don't fall up into the trap of child labor. I mean, so, or companies. So all that also to have to be
and
be
perhaps greater regulation as well, greater workplace regulation and standards.
Yes.
Come back to the TVET sector. I want to ask Ambassador if you had some key messages to the TVET sector stakeholders, which, as you know, form a very broad spectrum. Pakistanis, their friends abroad, local industry, etc.
I mean, again, I think we are not going to achieve something in Pakistan if the private sector is not more involved into that.
Okay.
The first step, which is now being taken, is to involve the private sector, as I said, you know, in the different institutes, in these institute management centers, councils, the skill sector councils as well. I mean, we have all this initiative. It's very good. It's a good start. But that, again, should be scaled up to all the TVET Institute and to make sure that private sector is really in the driving seat. That is the first step. For me, the second step is the issue of funding.
Okay.
For the time being, funding is coming from the government.
Right.
Not at the right level yet, because out of this 2.5% of the GDP you spent on education in Pakistan, only 2.6% of this 2.5% are going to the TVET sector. It's very low. It's very low.
What 2% of 2%.
Exactly. So, you know, it's not much. So, obviously, what we are providing as EU, Germany, and Norway is in addition to that. So it helps, clearly. But at the end of the day, the private sector also should step in, because they are the one going to benefit from this youth with the right skills. So when I say that they have to step in, they will have probably at one stage to pay for these trainings. Okay. It's what happened in Europe. I mean,
yes.
So there is a public-private partnership on TVET in many of our European countries, because industries, they know that they are the one going to benefit at the end of the day with that. They will become more competitive on the world stage and on what they are producing. So it's really, you know, survival to a certain extent of industry which is at stake there. So it's a next step. It's more complicated because I guess here in Pakistan people are not yet used to that. Some big companies I know are already doing it, paying for specific training for their companies, but it's not across the board, clearly. So that I think it's important to make sure that it happens as well.
Ambassador, thank you so much for your time and for your very, very rare insight. It's a privilege for us to be able to share these questions with you.
Okay, thank you.
अब हम सुनेंगे आरफा से जो क्वेटा से ताल्लुक़ रखती हैं और इन्हीं तालीमी इस्लाहात पर हमें बेहतर बता सकेंगी। उम्मीद है आपको आज का प्रोग्राम पसंद आया होगा। हमें सोशल मीडिया के लिंक्स के ज़रिए अपनी राय से भी आगाह कीजिए और इजाज़त दें। खुदा हाफ़िज़।
शुरू से ही रुझान था पढ़ने का। FSC में I got second position all over बलूचिस्तान। जब मैं FSC कर रही थी उसी वक्त मुझे लग रहा था कि मेरा इंटरेस्ट जो है वो मैथमेटिक्स में ज़्यादा है एज़ कम्पेयर टू बायोलॉजी। फैमिली की तरफ से थोड़ा सा हिंड्रेंस था, लाइक माय ग्रैंडफादर कि क्या इंजीनियर बनोगी, सड़कें बनाओगी, नालियाँ बनाओगी। लेकिन दो ही फील्ड्स उस वक्त थे, या तो मेडिकल पढ़ना था या इंजीनियरिंग करनी थी। मेडिकल की तरफ मुझे जाना नहीं था, सो आई chose engineering as my career. मैं lecturer थी in the same institute where I am now working as a principal. Government Polytechnic Institute for Girls purely Government of बलूचिस्तान का एक इदारा है जो कि अंडर गवर्नमेंट बलूचिस्तान के रन करता है। यहाँ पर हमारे कुछ रेगुलर कोर्सेज चलते हैं, 4 रेगुलर ट्रेड्स हैं जिनका मियाद या अरसा 3 साल का है, जिसमें हम डिप्लोमा ऑफ एसोसिएट इंजीनियरिंग करवा रहे हैं। इसके अलावा हमारे यहाँ 2 प्रोजेक्ट्स ऐसे चल रहे हैं जिसमें टिबेट सेक्टर सपोर्ट प्रोग्राम जो कि फेडरल और प्रोविंशियल गवर्नमेंट और डेवलपमेंट पार्टनर जैसे कि यूरोपीय यूनियन, जर्मनी और नॉर्वे के हुकूमतों के ताउन से टिबेट सेक्टर सपोर्ट प्रोग्राम के थ्रू इम्प्लीमेंट हुए हैं। फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग टिल दिस स्टेज हमें बहुत मदद मिली है, हमें अपने इस इदारे को स्ट्रेंथन करने में बहुत मदद मिली है। हमें अपने मशीनरी को, अपने ट्रेनर्स की हमारी ट्रेनिंग, मशीनरी की रिपेयरमेंट बहुत हेल्प हुआ है इन डेवलपिंग पार्टनर्स के ताउन से।